Good morning, all my trader friends. It is the 18th of November. It's a Tuesday, getting into the week, and we're hopefully on plan, on point to have a great end to the month coming up. If you plan it out today and Wednesday, you get a chance, I think, to take advantage of some liquidation pressures that'll start to come in later in this week and early in the next week. Most traders don't hold positions over uh, important weekends and holidays. So you can expect a round of liquidation to happen in the next 7 or so trading days as we head into Thanksgiving Day, which is Thursday, the 27th. By the way, that reminds me, we're going to do our regular traders daily discipline on Wednesday, the 26th next week, and then 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th for the holiday. I'll be gone. Back the following day, which is the beginning of December, which is a whole other round of liquidation coming in. So anyway, let's get started for today. Give you guys a great head start with today's thoughts. Let's get started with today's quote. And here we go. There can be no real individual freedom in the presence of economic uncertainty. And that was said by Chester Bowles. Of course, Chester was an economist. However, one of the things that I believe is absolutely true about economic models and economic theories, one of which is capitalism. And of course, the open market concept born from capitalism is what we have with our business of trading, which is letting the marketplace, demand and supply and market forces dictate the value of something. But what price or value can you place on individual freedom? And when we talk about economic insecurity, economic uncertainty, insecurity, any sort of economic pressure that puts you in a position to not get where you want to go, I'd like to present to you that because we're in the business of markets and trading, and because that provides us with so much potential, the issue of economic insecurity is really an issue of being self created. We create our own economic insecurity by how we live day to day, moment to moment, within the political freedoms that we currently have and within the economic freedoms we can earn from high level successful trading. In other words, if you make 100 grand a year from your trading, but you live like you're making 175, you're going to be under economic insecurity. And sooner or later, the pressure of having to meet some obligation or cover some emergency that you didn't save for is going to come back to haunt you. And you might be actually economically worse off than someone living at or below the poverty line. You know, I've met people that come from really bad economic backgrounds, and they were taught some very early lessons in life, and they do better than most. Some have earned six figures into seven figures annually. Most people that I know that come from really bad economic backgrounds, I mean, things like at the poverty line type poverty, um, um, living well beyond their means, maybe having the appearance of wealth growing up and going to um, um, nice schools and driving nice cars and all that kind of stuff, but yet every day was a struggle to make ends meet. That kind of thing is self created. And so I'd like to just remind you that when we trade and we exploit the skills and talents that we have, and we're doing better than maybe we expected to do for a period of time, don't increase your trade size because you can. Just because you got more margin doesn't mean it's a good idea. Don't take a whole bunch of money out and take a vacation at a level you've never done at before and spend a whole lot of money on something that really isn't going to help you. Don't upgrade your lifestyle. The smartest thing you can do is sock it all away for a period of time. That doesn't mean you have to never spend it or never invest it. You know, once you get good enough at making it, it's all just going to sit there anywhere until your wife takes half. Let's be honest. Most of us are going to end up with that problem in our life at some point, right? Maybe intentionally, maybe not. But the point of the matter is there's a lot of things that happen in our lives that we don't control what happens to us, but we can control what we respond to, how we respond. Building economic security involves not spending it all the time and putting some aside and investing some and putting it away from where your greedy little fingers can work on it. And that is something that you just need to do. For someone who went a long time in my life without making money in this business. And once I started to do that, start making money, I made a lot of those mistakes. I bought a lot of stuff I should never have done, did a lot of things with the money, and just really enjoyed myself. And then one day, I realized that I'd been making a serious mistake. And then came the drought, and then came 9/11, the war in the Persian Gulf, all kinds of things that'll provide a huge amount of opportunity when at the same time the opportunity to take it all away if you're not careful. So you want real individual freedom? Start creating it today by creating your own economic security, because people who trade the markets really are outside of the norm. We're outside the normal when it comes to money and economic presence and success and all the rest. You really literally can choose any level you want to be at. Problem is that once you start making those choices and the money starts rolling in, we have a tendency to screw that over by not handling it properly. So give some thought to it right now. In fact, plan ahead. If you're not one of those guys right now who's making some big cake at this, that's okay. Remember, you're going to get there if you don't quit. If you continue to follow through and work on the issues you need to work on, manage your risk control, do all the right things, eventually you'll develop those skills. I really believe that. I don't think anyone is destined to fail at this any more than they're destined to fail at anything else. If they really want to win, you can win. Take some effort, some work, and you got to change some things you maybe didn't see coming. That's okay. Well, why don't you plan ahead? Make that a positive part of today. I'm going to sit down and figure out what I'm going to do with my first million if you haven't made it yet. What exactly am I going to do with that? And on the way to getting there, I'm not buying new cars. I'm not buying big condos, fancy clothes. I don't need any of that stuff. Richard Dennis, one of the most successful guys that ever did this, lived in a 500 square foot studio apartment in Lincoln Park for years. Even after his net worth surpassed $1 million in trading profits, this is in the late 60s, early 70s, even though he was doing really, really well, he never made a change to his lifestyle at all. No one even knew. His neighbors had no idea he was doing that well. That's a skill, not to let others know what you're doing. But in any case, I want to just encourage you to remember that part of our economic success, although we live in an environment that helps breed it very easily, still, a lot of it is our own personal responsibility. So if you're doing really well right now, great. Don't forget, you might just hand yourself an adversity later if you don't handle it right today. So I'll let that be your thought for this morning. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow on the 19th, which is Wednesday, by the way, International Men's Day. So if you know any men, feel free to say Happy International Men's Day. And if you're a lady trader, feel free to buy some roses for someone. It's okay. I personally would love them. You guys have a great day, and I will see you next time. Thanks.